Chapter 321. This sudden change of events caused Li Xuangan and Chen Baojiao's expressions to instantly change drastically. They hadn't expected Bai Jianzhen's single sword strike to be so terrifying. Everyone present felt a jump in their hearts. Bai Jianzhen's single sword strike pierced through everything, and in a flash, it directly hit Li Qiye's flaw. It wasn't that Li Qiye's sword technique wasn't profound, but that Bai Jianzhen was too terrifying. Everyone was chilled to the bone. Bai Jianzhen could see through the flaws in others' sword Dao in an instant. Such a person was simply born for the sword Dao. Li Qiye's power in that single sword strike was seen by all. Even ancient saints, even heaven-mending saints or Dao-mending saints, might not have been able to discover the flaw in Li Qiye's single sword strike in the blink of an eye. The heaven sword strike was absolutely righteous and unparalleled, incredibly profound. To break this sword strike was easier said than done. Yet, such a sword strike was broken by Bai Jianzhen in the flash of lightning. Such a person's comprehension of the sword Dao surpassed countless others, even the elder generation cultivators. Humph, an overconfident fool. Now your bragging is exposed. Regaining their composure, some young cultivators spoke with a schadenfreude smile. However, Li Qiye completely ignored such people. He stared intently at Bai Jianzhen and smiled, saying, "It seems I underestimated you. You follow the path of deciphering and not just the path of the slaughter sword." A single sword strike had nearly pierced his entire chest, and blood stained his clothes red. Yet, Li Qiye didn't even frown, as if the sword strike had landed on someone else. Bai Jianzhen still held her sword, cold and merciless, with drops of fresh blood dripping from the sword's tip. Good. Let's see how you decipher this. Li Qiye smiled and took a step. With a thump, the earth trembled. The hell-suppressing god physique emerged, suppressing gods and devils, crushing the heavens and earth. In that instant, Li Qiye's entire body erupted with an aura that even gods and devils feared. With one step, the earth sank, mountain ranges broke. The thick and heavy earth still couldn't withstand that kind of physique. Heaven is merciless. Li Qiye slashed down with his sword. It was still the heaven sword strike, still the three-talent sword within the heaven sword. In an instant, the Kunpeng landed on the ground. Boundless thick earth appeared above Li Qiye's sky. The endless thick earth, immeasurably heavy and boundless, a boundless piece of thick ground descended. It was already crushing everything in the world. The Kunpeng controlled the thick earth, the great earth could not bear it. The earth transformation of the Kunpeng 6 transformations, the earth transformation was heavy and thick. Nothing could resist it. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Bursts of thunder erupted around Li Qiye's body. Instantly, Li Qiye's entire being transformed, as if his physique had become heaven, possessing a weight that nothing in the world could bear. At this time, Li Qiye had exerted the hell-suppressing god physique to its limit, reaching the highest weight in heaven and earth. In this sword strike, it was still a heaven sword strike, but there were no changes whatsoever. It was vast and simple, with only a straight thrust. All power was concentrated on this single sword strike. It was the same heaven sword strike. The previous heaven sword strike was, heaven is merciless, upright and impartial, but the current heaven sword strike was bearing the weight of heaven. With boundless benevolent love. The benevolence of heaven, simple and natural, with only one thrust. Under this single thrust, it separated black and white, divided yin and yang, and dissolved heaven and earth. There was nowhere to hide from this sword strike. Although heaven and earth were vast, they were all under this single sword. At this moment, the precious pillar Saint Sun's face changed drastically. His gaze did not linger on Li Qiye's sword strike but on Li Qiye's physique. He had fought with Li Qiye before. Seeing Li Qiye's divine physique display its power again. His heart was horrified at this moment, because he realized that Li Qiye was cultivating the hell-suppressing god physique that he had been pursuing all along. As this sword strike emerged, everyone's expressions changed, including Bai Jianzhen's. She had mastered the sword Dao all her life. As the sword strike descended, she knew that the ultimate sword is simple. A sword without form. or technique was already impossible to decipher. Zheng. In the end, Bai Jianjun still struck. One sword streaked across the sky, absolutely slaughtering and merciless. Under this single sword, all living beings in heaven and earth trembled. One sword astounded the immortals. One sword that astounded the immortals. If there were immortals in the world, they would certainly bleed under this sword strike. Boom. With a loud sound, cracks appeared in the earth. Bai Jianjun was sent flying by the single sword strike. Even the one sword astounded the immortals could not block the weight of the heaven sword. Boom. Bai Jianjun was sent flying 1,000 miles, breaking a mountain peak, and she spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The crimson blood fell onto her black robe, looking particularly dazzling. The slaughter sword in the world sword Dao is merely an introduction. Qiye stood holding his sword, saying indifferently, the ultimate sword is yang-aligned. The heavenly Dao is merciless. The extreme sword is bearing the weight of heaven, with boundless benevolent love. This is the origin of the great Dao. Qiye stood holding his sword, speaking slowly, with unspeakable ease and grace. At this moment, the crowd was silent, all falling into contemplation. Although Qiye used the hell-suppressing god physique to defeat Bai Jianjun with one sword strike, his heaven with benevolent love sword strike had already refined the essence of the sword Dao. He had experienced rise and fall for millennia, comprehending and creating countless great Daos. Today, with the emergence of his three-talent heaven sword, he was fully qualified to speak such words. Even to comment on an immortal emperor's sword Dao. In just an instant, a sense of danger suddenly arose in Qiye's heart. He immediately shifted his position, but in that moment, it was too late. A palm strike landed silently on his back. Bang. The three-hit palm strike, one palm piercing mountains and rivers. This terrifyingly silent palm strike hit Qiye's back. In an instant, Qiye was sent flying. With a boom, he smashed into a mountain, his body crashing into the ground, leaving a deep, large crater. Great Destruction Hand. In the moment the palm struck Qiye and sent him flying, someone cried out in shock. The Great Destruction Hand, the annihilation hand of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. All this happened too quickly. Qiye had just defeated Bai Jianjun when he was instantly ambushed by someone. The one who attacked was Southern Sky Young Emperor. The moment Qiye slashed Bai Jianjun away with his sword, he immediately ambushed Qiye. As soon as he made his move, his blood energy surged, executing the Great Destruction Hand, the annihilation hand technique of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom, aiming to kill Qiye with one strike. Vile and shameless. Li Xuangan and Qin Baojiao were both shocked and furious. Everything changed too quickly. They never expected a person of Southern Sky Young Emperor's status to dare to ambush Qiye in front of everyone. The winner is king, the loser is bandit. Southern Sky Young Emperor sneered. As soon as his words fell, he conjured a treasure, heading straight for Li Xuangan and Qin Baojiao on the 4-war bronze chariot. Today, I will surely slay you. Li Xuangan was furious. She swung her hands. The starry sky divine compass instantly hung above her head. Wang. In just an instant, a space-time gate suddenly opened. Before Li Xuangan and Qin Baojiao could regain their senses, Southern Sky Young Emperor's treasure instantly enveloped Li Xuangan, Qin Baojiao, and the 4-war bronze chariot. In a flash, Li Xuangan disappeared, Qin Baojiao disappeared, and the 4-war bronze chariot, along with the treasure conjured by Southern Sky Young Emperor, vanished instantly. Such a bizarre occurrence left everyone stunned. No one understood why Li Xuangan and the others suddenly disappeared. Rumble, rumble. With a sound, mud and rocks flew everywhere, and Qiye shot up into the sky from the ground. There was a shocking palm print on his back. However, this palm strike still couldn't inflict a fatal blow on Qiye. The hell. Suppressing God physique's sturdy physique was enough for Qiye to withstand this Great Destruction Hand. Spirit Domain Empty Wheel. Qiye shot out from the deep pit. his eyes instantly turning cold as he stared intently at Southern Sky Young Emperor. The instant disappearance of Li Xuangan and the others, he knew exactly what kind of treasure it was. Spirit Domain Empty Wheel. The legendary Spirit Domain Empty Wheel. An elder generation true person observing from the side heard the name, his expression changed drastically, horrified. The Spirit Domain Empty Wheel, legend says it was refined by immortal Emperor Fei Yang using true words. This treasure has always been a legend. It is one of the 9 great heavenly books. Even more precious than Emperor techniques. The world has always rumored that immortal Emperor Fei Yang obtained one of the 9 great heavenly books, and the Spirit Domain Empty Wheel is the best. Proof of that. It seems you know your stuff. Failing to kill Li Qiye with one palm, Southern Sky Young Emperor was also secretly shocked. He sneered, looking down at Li Qiye, and said coldly, "Slaying my Southern Sky Upper Kingdom's disciple means you must pay your blood debt. Today, I shall sever your head to sacrifice to my younger brother." Southern Sky Young Emperor's action was not only to kill Li Qiye to avenge Nen Tianhao but also to seize Li Qiye's 4-war bronze chariot. He had also heard rumors related to the supreme treasure of the cleansing incense ancient sect. It was precisely because he coveted the 4-war bronze chariot that he took advantage of Li Qiye being off the chariot to ambush him. To successfully seize the 4-war bronze chariot, he specifically requested a supreme treasure like the Spirit Domain Empty Wheel from his family. This treasure is known as the guardian treasure of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. Although immortal Emperor Fei Yang originated from the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom, in reality, he didn't have much affection for it and left very few treasures. The Spirit Domain Empty Wheel was one of them. The Spirit Domain Empty Wheel. As soon as this treasure is conjured, it banishes the target to a spirit domain, trapping and killing the target within. With Li Xuangan and the others trapped in the spirit domain, the 4-war bronze chariot would become an ownerless object. At that point, for Southern Sky Young Emperor, obtaining the 4-war bronze chariot would be effortless. Humph. At this moment, a cold, murderous snort echoed. Bai Jianjin had already taken a step, her killing intent like the heavens. "Fairy Bai, let's join forces to slay this villain." Southern Sky Young Emperor immediately said, "This villain is fierce and ruthless, an enemy of the world. I'll help Fairy Bai eliminate this fiend, ridding the world of evil." Zheng. However, the killing intent was like the heavens, and at this moment, the target of Bai Jianjin's killing intent was not Li Qiye, but Southern Sky Young Emperor. Bai Jianjin suddenly pointing her killing intent at him made Southern Sky Young Emperor's heart jump. If Bai Jianjin attacked, the situation would be unfavorable for him. His dog life is mine. Li Qiye stared at Southern Sky Young Emperor, saying calmly. Today, he had decided to kill. Southern Sky Young Emperor was dead. No matter who intervened, the result would be the same. At this time, Li Qiye was not worried about Li Xuangan and the others. He had confidence in his 4-war bronze chariot. Even if the Spirit Domain Empty Wheel was once refined with true words, he had full confidence in the 4-war bronze chariot, which had followed him in conquering era after era. Bai Jianjin looked at Li Qiye with cold indifference, finally saying nothing, only retreating to the side coldly. "Make your move. I'll send you to hell to meet your younger brother." Li Qiye looked at Southern Sky Young Emperor and said, "You seek your own death. I shall grant your wish." With Bai Jianjin gone, Southern Sky Young Emperor was secretly pleased. He sneered and took out his weapon. With a loud thump, when Southern Sky Young Emperor's weapon landed on the ground, it actually caused the earth to tremble. It was an extremely thick bronze cudgel. The bronze cudgel had images of the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers etched on it. The cudgel was thousands of feet thick. At this moment, Southern Sky Young Emperor's right hand transformed into a large hand, easily lifting such an enormous bronze cudgel. At this time, Southern Sky Young Emperor's longevity will appeared behind him. His blood energy soaring to the sky. In this instant, Southern Sky Young Emperor's boundless blood energy covered tens of thousands of miles. His blood energy was extremely plentiful, seemingly endless. When his blood energy rushed to the sky, it was like a flood breaking a dam, surging out ceaselessly, shaking the earth and causing people's expressions to change. Southern Sky Young Emperor possessed a naturally born saint wheel. His blood energy was too vast, no one of the same generation could compare. Although his strength was that of a marquis, he possessed the essence of the true person realm. His blood energy was so vast that it even approached that of an ancient saint. This was his terrifying aspect. Heaven-shaking heavy cudgel. Seeing Southern Sky Young Emperor wield such a thick bronze cudgel, an elder generation cultivator recognized the heavy cudgel's origin and muttered. The renowned Saint Venerable True Weapon of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. Saint Venerable True Weapon. Hearing this, young generation cultivators who didn't know the reason were stunned, all feeling that a Saint Venerable True Weapon was unworthy of Southern Sky Young Emperor's status. One must know that even Saint Tian Daozi had used a great immortal treasure. How much more should Southern Sky Young Emperor? Although a true weapon and a treasure are of the same rank, a true weapon is far inferior to a true weapon, in a general sense. Some ancient saint-level true weapons can even challenge Saint Venerable level treasures. This true weapon has a deep history. It once followed a Saint Venerable of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom in sweeping across all directions. An elder generation cultivator, seeing this true weapon, couldn't help but say. The Southern Sky Upper Kingdom once produced a genius who was also a naturally born saint wheel and obtained a true destiny divine stone. This true destiny divine stone was naturally a heavy weapon. After being refined into a bronze cudgel, it possessed a weight of tens of millions of pounds. Such a true weapon was not something anyone could use. Only a cultivator with sufficiently powerful blood energy could control it at will. It was precisely because of this that the heaven-shaking heavy cudgel was passed down to Southern Sky Young Emperor. The heaven-shaking heavy cudgel weighed tens of millions of pounds. Even a true person would struggle to lift it, but in Southern Sky Young Emperor's hands, it seemed effortless. This was enough to show how abundant his blood energy was. Take this cudgel strike. With the heaven-shaking heavy cudgel in hand, Southern Sky Young Emperor roared. One cudgel strike descended with an unparalleled speed. Under this cudgel strike, there were no techniques or transformations, but the heavy cudgel's immense weight, swung with unparalleled speed, caused continuous roaring and crackling lightning. Open! Qiye roared, raising his hand to block the cudgel. He swung his arm violently, meeting the descending heaven-shaking heavy cudgel. Overestimating yourself. Seeing Qiye use his arm to block the cudgel, Southern Sky Young Emperor sneered. The heaven-shaking heavy cudgel weighed tens of millions of pounds. With his single cudgel strike, shattering mountains and rivers was an easy feat. Boom! With a loud sound, the ground where Qiye stood was instantly shattered. Cracks appeared one after another in the earth, and Qiye was smashed deep into the ground. The power of that single cudgel strike left everyone dumbfounded. Such weight, hitting anyone, would crush them into pieces. Even an ancient saint wouldn't dare to use their body to block such a cudgel strike. That little brat was too arrogant. He was seeking his own death. The ground itself was shattered by the impact. And everyone thought Qiye was surely dead this time. Someone said with a cold laugh. Rumble, rumble. However, at that moment, rocks and dirt flew everywhere, and Qiye crawled out of the muddy pit. Qiye was covered in dust, and his arm was stained with blood. Undoubtedly, he was injured by the heaven-shaking heavy cudgel's impact. Impossible. Seeing Qiye's arm merely stained with blood, Southern Sky Young Emperor's expression changed drastically. He was fully aware of the power of his cudgel strike. Even if a true person used their body to withstand this cudgel strike, they would be smashed into pieces. Yet, Qiye's arm was only bloody, not even broken. This was simply unbelievable. What kind of physique was that? Seeing this scene, countless people secretly gasped in cold air. What kind of physique was that, capable of withstanding a strike of 100 million pounds? Such a physique was too abnormal. Precious Pillar Saint Sun, who had once fought Qiye, had flickering eyes. Even he couldn't suppress the deep jealousy At this moment, he understood that Qiye was absolutely cultivating the hell-suppressing god physique. This was his lifelong goal and pursuit. My turn. Qiye roared, spreading his arms. His hands stretched for thousands of miles, instantly embracing a towering mountain peak. With a forceful embrace, a crack sounded, and the heavens and earth spun. The entire mountain was snapped in half by Qiye's embrace. The 10,000-foot-tall mountain peak was gripped by Qiye's large hand. Whoosh! In an instant, the massive mountain peak was swung by Qiye, striking with the most domineering momentum. With the boundless weight of the hell-suppressing god physique, swinging a mountain was no difficult task. Open. Southern Sky Young Emperor's face changed drastically. He roared, and the heaven-shaking heavy cudgel in his hand swung out heavily. Boom. With a loud sound, rocks and dirt flew everywhere like a waterfall. Southern Sky Young Emperor was smashed away like a fly. He shot out 1,000 miles, heavily impacting the ground, leaving a bottomless deep pit. Everyone was dumbfounded. This was too abnormal. Southern Sky Young Emperor used a heavy cudgel as a weapon, and Qiye was even more domineering, using an entire mountain as a weapon. In a moment, Southern Sky Young Emperor shot out from the deep pit, spitting blood. His entire body was covered in blood. His physique was far inferior to Qiye's heaven-defying one. Although his heavy cudgel blocked Qiye's strike, his body impacting the ground still broke several bones. At this time, Southern Sky Young Emperor manifested his true destiny, absorbing heaven and earth essence, bathing his injuries. He was a marquis, and his true destiny had been cultivated into a heavenly mandate primordial spirit. As long as his true destiny was alive, his body could be destroyed, yet he could still live. He had unparalleled blood energy and cultivated a heavy cudgel. This was his advantage. He never expected to be smashed away by Qiye. Today, how could this not drive Southern Sky Young Emperor insane? Southern Sky Young Emperor roared. His longevity wheel, like a full moon, appeared behind him. At this moment, a longevity treasure appeared above his longevity wheel. As the longevity treasure emerged, Southern Sky Young Emperor's essence immediately roared ceaselessly, his blood energy soaring up like a waterfall, surging towards the heavens. The longevity blood within his longevity wheel flowed, bursting forth with boundless essence. Instantly, the endless blood energy rushed to the sky, covering the sky for 10,000 miles. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The terrifying blood energy swirled ceaselessly. The heavens and earth spun. At this moment, even the sun and moon dimmed, and the sky lost its light, completely covered by Southern Sky Young Emperor's essence. Even more terrifying, a vermilion bird shot out from Southern Sky Young Emperor's longevity treasure. The vermilion bird flapped its wings, stirring up boundless blood energy. In an instant, a sea of blood covered the sky, obscuring everything. Everyone looked at the sea of blood in the sky, their eyes widening instantly. What kind of domineering essence could obscure the sky? Heavenly Vermilion Bird Longevity Wheel. Vermilion Bird Longevity Technique. Seeing Southern Sky Young Emperor's blood energy erupt, even true persons trembled. Many people's expressions changed drastically. Such abundant blood energy was absolutely something everyone feared. 3 parts. Reaching this stage, the transformation of techniques and the power of treasures seemed to become unimportant. Blood energy was the strongest weapon. Immortal Emperor Longevity Technique. A million-year longevity wheel. Seeing Southern Sky Young Emperor's essence like this, countless people were moved, and countless people were envious. Southern Sky Young Emperor was a naturally born saint wheel, with immensely surging blood energy. Even more abnormal was that he possessed an ancestral heavenly vermilion bird longevity wheel. This longevity wheel was refined from a million-year fire vermilion bird. A million-year longevity essence, how vast and powerful was that blood energy? Even more terrifying, Southern Sky Young Emperor's longevity technique was the vermilion bird longevity technique, an immortal emperor longevity technique left behind by immortal Emperor Fei Yang. The Immortal Emperor longevity technique, combined with Southern Sky Young Emperor's Saint Will aptitude, was simply like giving wings to a tiger. What was even more moving was that the Vermilion Bird longevity technique and the Heavenly Vermilion Bird longevity wheel were perfectly matched, infinitely amplifying Southern Sky Young Emperor's essence. Accept death. Being struck and sent flying by Qiye was an extreme humiliation for Southern Sky Young Emperor. He roared, and the heaven-shaking heavy cudgel in his hand struck out wildly. One cudgel swing shattered the void, manifesting a bizarre phenomenon. It was as if 10,000 mountains were crushing the heavens, as if the earth was sinking. The boundless blood energy transformed into the most powerful force, making the power of Southern Sky Young Emperor's cudgel strike capable of smashing an ancient saint to death. The power of this cudgel strike caused everyone's expressions to change. Today, people finally saw the terrifying nature of the Saint Will aptitude, combined with the supreme longevity technique and the peerless longevity wheel. Such a person was simply like a son of the heavens. Qiye also roared, swinging the mountain peak, and smashing it fiercely. Both sides were locked in a direct confrontation. At this moment, the variation of techniques became unimportant. Under absolute weight, all laws would be crushed. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The two sides exchanged 3 heavy strikes. The heaven-shaking heavy cudgel and the mountain peak fiercely collided. The impact caused the heavens and earth to change color, the stars to fall, and the heavenly river to invert. For a moment, waterfalls of rock and soil appeared in the sky. Qiye, lacking a handy weapon, suffered a great loss. Although the mountain peak was large, it was inferior to the heaven-shaking heavy cudgel. Under the repeated heavy strikes of the heaven-shaking heavy cudgel, the mountain peak finally completely shattered. The cudgel struck Qiye heavily. Qiye was smashed away like a meteorite. With a pang, 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 he smashed through more than 3 mountain peaks. Finally, his body was embedded inside one mountain. Seeing such a domineering scene, everyone was stunned. What great strength gods, or what heaven-surging blood chi, it was all nothing compared to this. Blood energy so abundant was a threat to any genius of the same generation. Overestimating your capabilities. You dare to fight me? The heaven-shaking heavy cudgel in Southern Sky Young Emperor's hand struck the ground heavily. The earth shook, and the surrounding 100 miles immediately sank. Everyone gasped in cold air. At this moment, Southern Sky Young Emperor was a reincarnated overlord. Such terrifying blood energy, no matter if you were a genius with an emperor physique, saint physique, or a genius with a saint destiny, you would fear him 3 parts. A single blade of grass can cleave the stars, a single leaf can strike the sun and moon. It is no more than this. The Saint Will aptitude is in no way inferior to the Saint Destiny or Saint Physique. An elder generation true person muttered. Among cultivators, even in great sects and powerful kingdoms, there was a common misconception that longevity will aptitude was inferior to destiny and physique. If given the choice between the 3 aptitudes, Saint Will, Saint Physique, and Saint Destiny, most people would likely value the Saint Destiny or Saint Physique, and very few would value the Saint Will. Southern Sky Young Emperor's display today made more people realize that the potential of the longevity wheel is absolutely not inferior to the physique or destiny. Rumble, rumble. Just when many people thought Qiye was certainly dead, Qiye crawled out of the mountain, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood. Although Qiye was covered in blood at this time, his injuries were not overly severe. The injury he sustained was not as serious as the one from Bai Jianjin's sword strike to his chest. Damn it, what kind of physique is that? It's too abnormal. Qiye was smashed away like that, yet he wasn't killed, causing even the elder generation cultivators to curse in disbelief. Didn't they say this little brat has a mortal physique? Can a mortal physique be that exaggerated? Some people couldn't help but doubt the previous rumors that Qiye had a mortal physique, mortal destiny, and mortal wheel. Could a mortal physique be exaggerated to this extent? Being savagely struck like that and not being killed, such a mortal physique was too unreasonable. Southern Sky Young Emperor's expression was also ugly. At this moment, he realized that Qiye was cultivating a terrifying physique technique. Wang. At that moment, Southern Sky Young Emperor's longevity wheel spun rapidly. The vermilion bird soared up. When its two wings flapped, it stirred up a heaven-surging blood wave, each wave higher than the last. At this time, Southern Sky Young Emperor exerted his saint will blood energy to the limit. His longevity treasure continuously urged forth endless blood energy. The million-year longevity essence of the longevity wheel, how vast and powerful was that blood energy. At this time, the vermilion bird behind Southern Sky Young Emperor soared, transforming the stirred-up blood waves into a boundless sea of blood. Rumble, rumble, rumble. At this moment, Southern Sky Young Emperor's essence could devour the stars in the 9 heavens. His boundless blood energy could obscure half of the ancient celestial necropolis. At this time, everyone at the Nether River Ferry was looking in this direction, including some treasure lords and terrestrial immortals. Competing with me in blood energy. Qiye sneered, roaring loudly. With a tremendous boom, the yin-yang blood sea slowly rose. In an instant, the boundless sea of blood obscured the heavens and earth. A bloody moon slowly rose. And a bloody sun also soared above the sea of blood. At this time, Qiye's longevity wheel spun ceaselessly. The moon-guiding sun wheel art drew in endless essence. At this moment, the moon-guiding sun wheel art unleashed its terrifying power. Even the vast, boundless sea of blood could be drawn in, allowing endless blood chi to flow into Qiye's body. Clang, clang, clang. At this moment, Qiye's entire body rang out. Strip after strip of heavy laws locked down his body. The essence of the yin-yang blood sea was truly domineering. If it were any other body, it would definitely be bloated and exploded, but Qiye's hell-suppressing god physique could absolutely withstand it. Boom. At this time, Qiye stomped on the ground with one foot. The earth instantly shattered. 1,000 miles of land were reduced to ruins. All the mountain peaks collapsed with a loud crash. Rumble, rumble, rumble. At this time, Qiye's essence was boundless. The yin-yang blood sea seemed to have transformed into an ocean of blood, a world of blood. The blood energy rushed out like a stampeding flood of ferocious beasts. At this moment, Qiye's essence obscured the heavens and earth. His entire being seemed to be immersed in the sea of blood. The extremely dense essence was completely undissolvable. This. What kind of longevity treasure is this? Could it be an immortal emperor longevity treasure? Seeing Qiye's terrifying essence, everyone's expressions changed drastically. Even an ancient saint couldn't possess such an unreasonable amount of essence. However, if it were an immortal emperor longevity treasure, such a heaven-defying item, possessing boundless essence, this kind of blood energy was not something anyone could withstand. The heavens and earth spun. The two boundless seas of blood obscured the heavens and earth. At this moment, Qiye's boundless blood energy, with the posture of sweeping everything away, crushed towards Southern Sky Young Emperor's sea of blood. Southern Sky Young Emperor's face changed drastically. His heavenly vermilion bird longevity treasure spun wildly. His saint wheel itself stirred up longevity blood. A large amount of longevity blood transformed into ceaseless, surging essence. The vermilion bird behind him desperately stirred up blood waves, trying to block Qiye's boundless sea of blood. Treasure was indeed impressive, a million-year longevity essence wheel, refined with an immortal emperor longevity technique, incredibly powerful. But, even the most powerful longevity treasure was meaningless compared to Qiye's yin-yang blood sea. Qiye's yin-yang blood sea had a shocking origin. It was the supreme treasure obtained by striking into the deepest part of the burial ground. Such an item was not something Southern Sky Young Emperor's heavenly vermilion bird longevity wheel could compare to. Saint wheel, it is only so. At this moment, Qiye roared. The blood energy around him was so dense it was indissolvable. Following his shout, Qiye's arm was wreathed in blood energy, like a blood hand. Under his roar, Qiye swung his arm fiercely, striking out. At this time, Qiye used his body as a weapon. Wreathed in boundless blood energy, he struck out fiercely. When this arm swung out, it was no longer an arm. It was like a divine cudgel. One strike descended, with lightning and thunder, and strange phenomena emerged. Southern Sky Young Emperor also roared. All his blood energy transformed into power. The heaven shaking heavy cudgel in his hand swung out fiercely, striking back. Kang, kang, kang. The two sides fiercely clashed 3 times. The sound of collision reverberated throughout the entire ancient celestial necropolis, deafening everyone's ears. Kang. With the final strike, Southern Sky Young Emperor simply couldn't withstand Li Qiye's frantic strike. Although his arm clashed directly with the heaven shaking heavy cudgel, leaving it bloody, in the third clash, it sent Southern Sky Young Emperor spitting blood wildly. Take one more strike. Li Qiye roared, striking down with an invincible posture. The hell-suppressing god physique, immeasurably heavy. A single arm weighed tens of millions of pounds. At this time, under the power transformed by the boundless blood energy of the Yin Yang Blood Sea, the power of one arm was incalculably terrifying. Boom. Facing this descending arm, Southern Sky Young Emperor could only use the heaven-shaking heavy cudgel to block. However, under this strike, his entire body spat blood wildly. His heaven-shaking heavy cudgel rebounded heavily onto his body. With a crack, a loud sound of breaking bones rang out. Southern Sky Young Emperor screamed miserably. In an instant, he didn't know how many bones he had broken. Pang! His entire body slammed into the mountain peak, breaking the mountain and leaving him covered in blood. Fresh blood flowed, staining the dirt red. At this moment, Southern Sky Young Emperor's chest was completely sunken. His heaven-shaking heavy cudgel could not withstand Li Qiye's frantic shock and rebounded onto his body, completely crushing his chest. At this moment, he was covered in blood. Seeing this scene, everyone was wide-eyed. Even the big figures watching from afar at the Nether River Ferry, seeing this scene, couldn't help but gasp in cold air. Such a crawl. This was no human, he was 100 times more terrifying than a tyrannosaur. At this time, Southern Sky Young Emperor dared not linger. He turned and fled, heading towards the Nether River Ferry. At this moment, he was scared witless. He immediately fled towards the Nether River Ferry, seeking the protection of his sect. Otherwise, he would certainly die here. Where are you running? 2. Seeing Southern Sky Young Emperor fleeing, Li Qiye shouted coldly and immediately gave chase. Seeing Southern Sky Young Emperor defeated and fleeing, everyone gasped in cold air. The younger generation, especially the geniuses who considered themselves extraordinary and once wanted to oppose Li Qiye, were now pale with fear. As for Precious Pillar Saint Sun, who had fought Li Qiye, his face was extremely gloomy. He had realized that Li Qiye's hell-suppressing god physique had reached minor completion. Even if not fully minor completion, it was only a hair's breadth away. Hell-suppressing god physique minor completion, what did this signify? This was one of the 12 immortal physiques. One must know that if an immortal physique achieves major completion, regardless of your Tao attainment or realm, you are absolutely an existence that crushes saint emperors, and even great immortals would change color upon hearing your name. The hell-suppressing god physique minor completion, even if Li Qiye was only a hero or marquis, he would dare to directly crush ancient saints, and even saint venerables would change color upon hearing it. Even if his saint physique achieved major completion, facing the minor completion hell-suppressing god physique of Li Qiye, he would likely not gain an advantage, let alone that his saint physique was still far from major completion. Hell-suppressing god physique. If a great immortal achieved hell-suppressing god physique major completion, unless an immortal emperor emerged, no one in the world could suppress them. They would simply slay gods when encountering gods, and slaughter devils when encountering devils. Even encountering an immortal emperor, they would dare to fight. Even if they couldn't win, they could likely preserve their lives. Precious Pillar Saint Sun thought of this, his face extremely gloomy. He tightly clenched his fists. If Li Qiye's hell-suppressing god physique achieved major completion, he would never have a chance to rise. Hell-suppressing god physique. This little brat is absolutely cultivating the hell-suppressing god physique, one of the 12 immortal physiques. At this moment, some elder generation figures realized something. They changed color and muttered, "Hell-suppressing god physique." Upon hearing this name, countless people's expressions changed drastically. They gasped in cold air in their hearts. One of the 12 immortal physiques, this was something countless people dreamt of. Throughout the ages, how many people have successfully cultivated an immortal physique technique? This is impossible. We've never heard that the cleansing incense ancient sect possesses the hell-suppressing god physique immortal physique technique. Many people found it unbelievable. One must know that immortal physique techniques are even more precious than emperor techniques. Some people compare immortal physique techniques to heaven's mandate secret arts. For a moment, countless people's eyes grew grim. Regardless of whether Qiye was cultivating a supreme immortal physique technique or not, it was better to believe it was true than to risk believing it was false. Judging by Qiye's current heaven-defying and overwhelming physique, the possibility that he was cultivating a supreme immortal physique technique was very high. The hell-suppressing god physique, one of the 12 immortal physiques, not to mention major completion, even minor completion is terrifying enough. Furthermore, the higher one's cultivation level, the more terrifying the immortal physique becomes. For example, within the same level of great immortal, if one party possesses minor immortal physique completion, they will absolutely crush the opponent. Encountering such an opponent would likely result in an instant kill. This is the terrifying aspect of an immortal physique. In an instant, countless cultivators' expressions turned grim. And at the same time, many eyes flickered. A supreme immortal physique technique is more precious than an emperor technique, and rarer than a heavenly mandate secret art. Such an item would make anyone drool with desire. Where are you running to? Southern Sky young emperor fled in defeat, desperately running towards the Nether River ferry. He was scared witless, daring not to stop for a moment. He even used all his strength, fleeing at the fastest speed towards the Nether River ferry. Qiye, however, shouted and pursued relentlessly. He would absolutely not stop until Southern Sky young emperor was slain. The two sides, one running and one chasing, instantly crossed 10,000 miles. Southern Sky young emperor traveled through the air, while Qiye pursued on foot. Despite this, Southern Sky young emperor still couldn't escape Qiye. The Kunpeng 6 transformations, once unleashed, provided astonishing speed. No matter how many tricks Southern Sky young emperor had, he still couldn't escape Qiye. Countless people witnessed this scene firsthand. The successor of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom, a young genius, Southern Sky young emperor, who had been admired by countless people, was now being chased like a stray dog by a little brat. This was truly unbelievable. In a short time, Southern Sky young emperor finally fled to the Nether River ferry. As soon as he saw the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom's base camp there, Southern Sky young emperor rushed towards it at the fastest speed. When the powerhouses of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom saw their young master in distress, they immediately went out to meet him, helping Southern Sky young emperor fend off the enemy. For a moment, at the Nether River ferry, countless eyes were drawn to this scene. Even the treasure lords who usually kept to themselves were looking over, even if their eyes were closed. Chasing all the way to the Nether River ferry, Qiye saw the vast Nether River and sneered. Seeing Southern Sky young emperor flee into their base camp, he immediately pursued. Stop! Before Qiye reached the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom's base camp, more than a dozen powerhouses from the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom rushed forward, shouting loudly. Before they finished speaking, they surrounded Qiye. Scram! Qiye's blood energy surged to the sky. His entire body's essence was so dense it was utterly indissolvable. Blood waves surged to the heavens. Seeing the powerhouses of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom defending their master, he roared and swung his two arms like heavenly limbs, smashing out fiercely. The dozen powerhouses panicked, roaring as they conjured their powerful treasures. But with a loud boom. No matter what kind of treasure it was, under Qiye's two hands, they were smashed to pieces. One by one, the powerhouses spat blood wildly. The earth seemed to be flipped over and all of them were sent flying out. Little brat, don't be arrogant. Seeing so many powerhouses unable to block Qiye, a true person of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom finally couldn't sit still. He roared and instantly conjured a treasure pagoda from his mouth. The pagoda flew into the sky, instantly growing huge, like a colossal mountain peak. 1. His longevity wheel spun. The yin-yang blood sea was like a tidal wave, stirring up blood waves of hundreds of millions of feet, instantly obscuring the heavens and earth. The radiance of his physique greatly flourished. The hell-suppressing god physique erupted with wave after wave of divine might. Out of the way. Facing the treasure pagoda, which pressed down like a colossal mountain, Qiye didn't even frown. He smashed straight at it with both hands. This domineering scene drew cries of alarm from many people. This was a 5-star true person. The treasure pagoda he conjured was a saint venerable. Treasure. Such a treasure, unleashed by a true person, was like a prison peak of the world, capable of suppressing all marquises. Kang. With a loud sound, Qiye's 2 hands smashed heavily onto the treasure pagoda. The pagoda flew backward, striking with the force of a broken branch toward the true person. The true person panicked and immediately used a borrowing technique to intercept his own pagoda, crashing back. Pang. With a sound, the true person still failed to intercept his saint venerable treasure. He was sent flying and spat blood wildly. Seeing this scene, countless powerhouses at the Nether River Ferry changed their expressions. A 5-star true person actually suffered a great loss in one move. This was too heaven-defying, too powerful. How could the world know that under the tempest of the yin-yang blood sea, Qiye's hell-suppressing god physique had erupted with its god and devil-suppressing power? Hell-suppressing god physique. The true person who was sent flying managed to stabilize his body with difficulty, his expression changing drastically. He shouted in horror. Hell-suppressing god physique. This true person, having suffered a great loss at Qiye's hands in a single move, immediately understood what kind of physique Qiye possessed. It really is the hell-suppressing god physique. Those who had only speculated before now gasped in cold air upon hearing this confirmation. The conclusion drawn from the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom's true person's first-hand experience was undeniable. One of the 12 immortal physiques. If this physique achieves major completion, no matter how high the cultivation, even at the Marquis realm, it could probably crush a Saint Emperor. At this moment, countless people's expressions changed. Open up. Qiye stepped into the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom's camp. Seeing Southern Sky Young Emperor, he swung both hands out fiercely. One strike crossed the heavens and earth, splitting mountains and rivers for millions of miles. Boom. With a loud sound, Qiye's incomparably domineering strike did not hit Southern Sky Young Emperor but was blocked by a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was incredibly divine, his entire body enveloped in a vast treasure aura. His aura was abundant, his vitality surging. And he was powerfully agile. His entire being seemed to receive the protection and blessing of millions of living beings. Southern Sky Protector, the national advisor of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. Seeing this middle-aged man block Qiye's domineering strike, many people spoke with emotion. The legendary 8-Palace Genius. A great Tao Saint. The ancient saints present, upon seeing this middle-aged man, also changed their expressions. Even a great saint would be extremely apprehensive. 8-Palace Genius. Great Tao Saint. Hearing this title, even those unfamiliar with the Southern Sky Protector's background changed their expressions. A cultivator has 3 chances in their life to open life palaces, corresponding to the life palace supplementation realm, Marquis Profound Destiny realm, and the Ancient Saint realm. However, at the Ancient Saint realm, powerhouses who open 4 or more life palaces are no longer referred to as minor saint, lesser saint, or great saint. Even if their Tao attainment is within these 3 realms, an ancient saint with 5 life palaces is called a heaven-mending saint, 6 life palaces is called a Tao mending saint, 7 life palaces is called a heaven saint, and 8 life palaces is called a great Tao saint. 8 life palaces. Hearing this, countless people were stunned. A person with 8 life palaces, called a genius, was no exaggeration. They could even be called a genius among geniuses. In the world of cultivators, there was once a saying, 9 is the ultimate. 10 is flawless. If a cultivator opened 9 life palaces, they would reach the limit of a cultivator, revered by the world. If it was 10 life palaces, that would be flawless and complete. Such a cultivator would have a complete, flawless Tao foundation for their entire life. Although throughout the ages, a cultivator theoretically has a total of 12 life palaces, in reality. Throughout the ages, cultivators who can obtain 9 life palaces have reached the limit of genius. A cultivator who can obtain 9 life palaces in their lifetime can be called a genius among geniuses, a king of geniuses, regardless of the era. Throughout the ages, cultivators who could open 10 life palaces were extremely rare. Such cultivators have a chance to become an unrivaled immortal emperor in their generation, more so than anyone else. As for opening 11 life palaces, that is worthy of being called a miracle of the ages. Legend says that throughout the ages, those who could open 11 life palaces could be counted on one hand. 12 life palaces is unimaginable. Throughout the ages, no one has ever been heard to open 12 life palaces. A cultivator with 12 life palaces remains a legend. An 8-palace cultivator, this can already be called a genius among geniuses. Southern Sky Protector, the national advisor of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom, was one of the extremely rare 8-palace geniuses of the current era. Legend says his cultivation time was very short. He only began cultivating 5,000 years ago. Yet in a short 1,000 years, he reached the ancient saint realm. Finally, he opened his 8th life palace, becoming an 8-palace genius. Someone in the Central Great Territory once said that if Southern Sky Protector hadn't lived in the Gap of Tao era, he would have long been a saint emperor. It was precisely because he lived in the Gap of Tao era, where the heavens mandate was absent, that he could not successfully open his 9th life palace. Despite this, Southern Sky Protector had firmly secured his position as the nation-protecting advisor of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. Little brat, you should know your limits. Southern Sky Protector's aura was vast and righteous. He looked at Qiye and said in a deep voice, "If you retreat now, my Southern Sky Upper Kingdom will not pursue this matter." Qiye looked at Southern Sky Protector, smiling leisurely, and said, "Not pursue it? Hey, your Southern Sky Upper Kingdom wants to spare me. I don't want to spare your Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. It's not difficult to make me stop. Hand over that little Southern Sky brat's head." Southern Sky Protector's gaze intensified. He said coldly, "Little brat, do not be arrogant. There is always a mountain higher than the one you climb. My Southern Sky Upper Kingdom is not something a little brat like you can provoke. If you know what's good for you, leave immediately. Otherwise, this will be your burial ground." Southern Sky Protector spoke aggressively, yet as an 8-palace genius, no one felt he was arrogant. He truly had the capital to speak such domineering words. Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. Qiye curled the corner of his mouth, then said calmly, "What is the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom? Can you compare to the Azure Mysterious Ancient Kingdom? Don't make your Southern Sky Upper Kingdom sound like a big deal. In my eyes, the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom hasn't even been ranked for reputation." Qiye's words instantly silenced everyone. This is truly arrogant. Someone couldn't help but say, but then thought, this brat dared to strike the Azure Mysterious Ancient Kingdom's cave heaven mansion. So for this reckless little imp, they didn't even put the Azure Mysterious Ancient Kingdom in their eyes. What counted as the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom? Qiye's arrogant words made many people tongue-tied. The Southern Sky Upper Kingdom was an extremely ancient powerful kingdom, from which immortal Emperor Fei Yang emerged. One must know that immortal Emperor Fei Yang was absolutely one of the most outstanding immortal emperors throughout the ages. Legend says that when immortal Emperor Fei Yang's flying Yang banner was unfurled, it could refine the heavens and earth and suppress 10,000 realms. This little brat is truly lawless. Even the elder generation cultivators couldn't help but mutter. Southern Sky Protector, as the national advisor of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom was absolutely not just a man of empty fame. An 8-palace ancient saint, a great Tao saint of his generation, how heaven-defying. A little brat courting death. At this moment, a cold snort echoed. Imperial aura surged. Someone said coldly. Just because you have a few treasures to protect yourself, you truly think you are invincible. At this time, 6 imperial experts stepped into the air. 6 cavalries followed behind them like flowing water, advancing and retreating freely. The 6 cavalry seemed to be one body with the 6 imperial experts. The 6 imperial experts were like dragon heads. When the imperial experts moved, the 6 cavalries were like flood dragons swimming in the air. Jiang's was 6 emperors. Seeing the 6 imperial experts move, with the 6 cavalries like flowing water, someone spoke with emotion. Virtuous King 6 Tide Array. Legend says the Jiang's was 6 emperors possess the array diagram of the Virtuous King 6 Tide Array left by Virtuous King Jiang's Hua. Seeing these 6 imperial experts, some people couldn't help but mutter. Seeing the Jiang's was 6 emperors. Many people were startled. A single imperial expert among the Jiang's was 6 emperors might not necessarily be feared much by an ancient saint. However, when the Jiang's was 6 emperors emerged, it was different. The emergence of the Jiang's was 6 emperors meant the appearance of the Virtuous King 6 Tide Array. This was the clan-guarding formation created by an unrivaled Virtuous King of a generation, incredibly heaven-defying. Qiye had previously encountered the Virtuous King 6 Tide Array of Marquis Jiang's Hua. Of course, Marquis Jiang's Hua's array could not compare to the Jiang's was 6 emperors. Marquis Jiang's was merely a small array. The Jiang's was 6 emperors. Virtuous King 6 Tide Array was the true Virtuous King 6 Tide Array. Qiye glanced at the Jiang's Hua 6 emperors and said calmly, "Mind your own business." Qiye's arrogant attitude left everyone speechless. It seemed this little brat was arrogant towards everyone, putting no one in his eyes. "Little brat, you court death." The Jiang's was 6 emperors' expressions changed. Their gazes immediately turned cold. The 6 imperial experts took one step forward. The great array moved with them, showing a tendency to slay Qiye. The Jiang's was 6 emperors wanting to slay Qiye was not surprising. Over 1,000 disciples of Marquis Jiang's Hua and the Jiang's Hua family were slain by Qiye. The Jiang's Hua family had always sought revenge. Today, encountering that little imp, they naturally wouldn't let him go. "Little brat, you insulted my upper kingdom." Bowing and apologizing. Now is still not too late. Otherwise, don't dream of leaving this place today. At this moment, Southern Sky Protector looked coldly at Qiye, his aura pressing down on him. In his eyes, Qiye was already a fish in a net. Southern Sky Protector's words made some cultivators from smaller sects feel uncomfortable and secretly criticize him. It was clearly Southern Sky Young Emperor who ambushed Qiye first. When Southern Sky Young Emperor couldn't win, they now demanded Qiye to bow and apologize. Although some cultivators felt uncomfortable, they could do nothing. Great sects and powerful kingdoms always shielded their own flaws. Often, for them, right and wrong became unimportant. Daring to oppose them was courting death. "Leaving," Qiye said with a faint smile. "It's not difficult to make me leave. Hand over that little Southern Sky brat's head. I won't say another word and we'll turn around and leave." Southern Sky Young Emperor, who was healing on the side, was so angry that his face was pale, and his body trembled. He was a genius of the Central Great Territory, the peak of the young generation, unrivaled until now. Yet, in Qiye's mouth, his life and death were casually decided. How could this not anger him to the point of vomiting blood? National Advisor, why waste words with him? Capture him. Southern Sky Young Emperor said in a deep voice. Let him understand that there is only one path to take when daring to provoke the venerable might of my Southern Sky Upper Kingdom, death. Southern Sky Protector looked down at Qiye and said, "Now, you can't even leave. Unless you cripple your own limbs and cripple your own Tao attainment, my Southern Sky Upper Kingdom might. Out of benevolence, spare your life. Your bullshit stinks too much." Qiye shouted loudly. Blood energy surged. Both hands struck out directly. Under the fierce swing of his two hands, they carried the force of hundreds of millions of pounds, as if 10,000 divine peaks were pressing down. Collect him for me. Southern Sky Protector shouted loudly. His life palace gate opened wide, instantly enveloping Qiye. Boom. With a loud sound, Qiye's two hands struck out, shattering 10,000 miles of earth. Mountain peaks collapsed one after another. However, Southern Sky Protector was not harmed in the slightest. Moreover, the heaven and earth before Qiye's eyes had changed. There was no ancient celestial necropolis, and no nether river. Before his eyes was a vast expanse of heaven and earth. His fierce and domineering strike had landed on this boundless expanse of earth. At this moment, 8 life palaces appeared above Southern Sky Protector's head. The 8 life palaces, with the main life palace as the largest, revolved, surrounded by the other 7 life palaces. The 8 life palaces formed a heaven and earth, transforming into a nation. Qiye was instantly sucked into it. Qiye's strike had landed within this world, fundamentally making it difficult to harm Southern Sky Protector. 8 palaces form a nation. Seeing this scene, everyone was moved. This was the terrifying aspect of an 8-palace ancient saint. For cultivators, there are 3 opportunities in life to open life palaces. This means that after reaching the ancient saint realm, a cultivator can possess 4 life palaces. 4 life palaces is the necessary condition for a cultivator to become an ancient saint. However, for a genius, 4 life palaces is merely the foundation. The more life palaces opened, the stronger one is, the farther one can walk in the future, even bearing the heaven's mandate and achieving immortal emperor status. 4 palaces form a domain, 8 palaces form a nation, 12 palaces form the heaven. An 8-palace ancient saint is terrifying enough to inspire fear. As a heaven-defying great Tao saint, they can slay enemies without even taking action because they possess 8 life palaces. An 8-palace ancient saint, as a heaven-defying great Tao saint, with their 8 palaces forming a nation, possesses the power of an entire nation. They can slay enemies without the need for treasures or techniques. 8 palaces form a nation. The power of one nation refining 10,000 enemies. This is truly terrifying. Seeing Qiye being sucked into the 8-palace heaven and earth, even the elder generation ancient saints changed their expressions. Faced with such a powerful enemy, even they would only choose to flee. Qiye fell into the 8-palace nation. Looking around, the mountains and rivers were magnificent, filled with boundless essence. It seemed as if countless living beings lived within it. It seemed as if millions of living beings believed in this heaven and earth. Little brat, today is your day of death. At this time, within this heaven and earth, Southern Sky Protector's voice descended from the sky. His voice was incredibly majestic. Within the 8-palace nation, he was the supreme existence of this place. He was the god of this place. He possessed supreme authority here, no one could challenge him. As Southern Sky Protector's voice fell, a giant hand covering the heavens and earth instantly struck towards Qiye. Break! Qiye roared. His longevity wheel spun. The yin-yang blood sea rose and fell. The bloody moon rose, the bloody sun soared to the sky. The Kunpeng leaped into the void. As Qiye threw out his 2 hands, the Kunpeng's wings were attached to his arms, seemingly like 2 divine blades slashing at this heaven and earth. Rumble. Rumble, rumble. However, Qiye's arms swung out, yet they still could not break this giant hand. Even though Qiye's 2 arms possessed the strength of hundreds of millions of pounds, they could not cleave the giant hand. If Qiye's 2 hands' strength could cleave 10,000 divine peaks, then this giant hand possessed the power of a world. Because this was Southern Sky Protector's 8-palace nation domain. Compared to this 8-palace nation heaven and earth, Qiye was merely an ant within this heaven and earth. How could he withstand the power of an entire nation? Rumble, rumble, rumble. Under the crushing force of the giant hand, Qiye turned his offense into defense. He raised his hands to hold up the sky, lifting the giant hand pressing down. However, even with the might of Li Qiye's hell-suppressing god physique, he still couldn't withstand the power of the entire nation. Bursts of dragon roar sounds echoed. The earth beneath Li Qiye's feet began to shatter. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of the earth shattering could be clearly heard even by cultivators outside. With Li Qiye as the center, large cracks began to appear in the 1,000 miles of earth beneath his feet. Even the great rivers and streams cracked open. With a loud boom, the giant hand pressed down with even greater force. More than half of Li Qiye's body sank into the ground. His arms, under the crushing force of the palm, were already bending. The bones in his entire body rattled, sounding as if they would shatter at any moment. At this moment, Li Qiye's face turned red. He unleashed his full power, yet he still couldn't stop the descending giant hand. This was the power of an entire nation. Within this piece of heaven and earth, Li Qiye was fundamentally unable to resist. Great Tao Saint. 8 palaces form a nation. The power of an entire nation. How can he resist that? Seeing this scene, not to mention true persons, even ancient saints turned pale. Encountering an 8-palace ancient saint forming a nation, even if you were at the great saint perfection realm, you would still have to flee. You would fundamentally not be his opponent. This little brat is indeed cultivating a supreme immortal physique technique. He hasn't died yet under the crushing force of a whole nation. Some cultivators, seeing Li Qiye still struggling painfully, couldn't help but be envious. A supreme immortal physique technique, this was something countless people drooled over. A young generation cultivator also sneered, saying, "What does a supreme immortal physique technique matter? When faced with an 8-palace ancient saint, is there still not only death? A fool who doesn't know his place. With such shallow Tao attainment, he dares to oppose a great Tao saint. He truly doesn't know how high the sky is or how deep the earth is." Southern Sky young emperor, seeing Li Qiye struggling painfully, felt a surge of pleasure in his heart. He sneered and said, "Humph, a supreme immortal physique technique is nothing more than a death throw at this moment. Little brat. Hand over the supreme immortal physique technique, and I will spare your life. Otherwise, today, this venerable one will slowly torture you until you hand over the supreme immortal physique technique. By then, you will know what it means to be worse than dead." Within the 8-palace nation, Southern Sky Protector's voice descended, like the ruler of heaven and earth, presiding over the life and death of all living beings within this realm. Undoubtedly, Southern Sky Protector was tempted by Li Qiye's supreme immortal physique technique. He was in no hurry to kill Li Qiye, slowly crushing him instead. "You're not afraid of your bragging bursting?" Li Qiye's face was red. He suppressed the giant hand above him and said with a faint smile, "Who dies at whose hands is still unknown. Ignorant fool. This venerable one will first shatter all your bones and tendons." Southern Sky Protector's cruel voice rang out. In an instant, the giant hand shone with circles of light, and its power increased even further. Boom. With this new downward pressure, Li Qiye could no longer endure it, and he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. "Surrender. Otherwise, you will groan in agony 1,000 times today, until you confess." Southern Sky Protector's voice descended once again. "It's just an 8-palace nation. Do you really think you have me cornered?" At this moment, Li Qiye burst out laughing. He held nothing back. In this instant, his entire body burst forth with dazzling radiance. Suddenly, the hot and brilliant radiance illuminated the entire realm, making the whole world seem transparent under this light. What happened? The sudden explosion of boundless light was like the opening of chaos, tearing apart the 8-palace nation. Many people were moved upon seeing this scene. "The heaven's mandate is mine." Li Qiye roared loudly. Not only the 8-palace nation, but even the outside world suddenly darkened slightly. It was as if the star river surged and fell, as if the supreme heaven's mandate poured down boundless power. In this instant, the light of heaven and earth seemed to instantly gather onto Li Qiye's body. Boom. A loud sound exploded, shattering the heaven and earth. Finally, a crack was torn open in the Eight Palace Nation. Qiye was sent flying out from within the Eight Palace Nation. Although blood still stained the corner of his mouth, and he looked disheveled, Qiye's entire being was radiating extremely dazzling light. At this moment, stars circulated around Qiye. Individual stars, which were originally massive, shrank to the size of a thumb, circling him. The sun and moon rose and fell around his body. Star rivers turned into silver light, flowing ceaselessly beside him. Even more terrifying, a patch of azure sky hovered above Qiye's head, deep blue, high, and profoundly vast. The heavens mandate was contained within it. Seemingly the law governing the heavens and earth, the Tao controlling 10,000 realms. Heavenly mandate secret art. Seeing Qiye's situation, someone finally gasped in cold air, shouting in terror. The legendary immortal Emperor Ming Ren's heaven's residence immortal secret. Hearing this, everyone was moved. The heavenly mandate secret art symbolized the highest achievement in the life of an unrivaled immortal emperor. Although immortal emperors create countless emperor techniques in their lifetime, the ultimate unrivaled one is still the heavenly mandate secret art. The heavenly mandate secret art must be created after bearing the heaven's mandate, because the heavenly mandate secret art naturally aligns with the mysteries of the heaven's mandate. It carries the power of the heaven's mandate. Immortal emperor techniques, some are created in youth, and later, after achieving immortal emperor status, they are nourished by the emperor's Tao, finally becoming emperor techniques. However, the heavenly mandate secret art must be created after bearing the heaven's mandate and achieving immortal emperor status. Without the heaven's mandate, one cannot create a heavenly mandate secret art. The heavenly mandate secret art is an unrivaled existence in the world. Nothing in the world is stronger than the heavenly mandate secret art, except perhaps the legendary 9 great heavenly books. But, for the world, that is merely a legend. Upon seeing the heavenly mandate secret art, even Southern Sky Protector's expression changed. Come. Let me witness the true divine power of an 8-palace ancient saint. Although blood still stained the corner of Qiye's mouth, his head supported the azure sky, and star rivers circulated around him, like a true son of heaven's mandate. At this time, many people of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom's expressions changed drastically, especially Southern Sky Young Emperor. His eyes were red with jealousy. This little brat cultivating a supreme immortal physique technique was already enough to provoke jealousy, and now he was also cultivating a heavenly mandate secret art. Legend says the heavenly mandate secret art of the cleansing incense ancient sect was lost. Seeing the legendary immortal Emperor Ming Ren's heaven's residence immortal secret appear on Qiye, someone couldn't help but mutter, "Heavenly mandate secret art." Southern Sky Protector's face was cold. He sneered and said, "With your shallow Tao attainment, even possessing a heavenly mandate secret art will not change your fate. There is still only death." As soon as his words fell, he conjured a treasure vase. Nation-protecting divine beast, appear. Southern Sky Protector roared. Immediately, all his blood energy rushed into the treasure vase. In this instant, the treasure vase erupted with the boundless aura of a ferocious beast. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Bursts of thunder sounded. The treasure vase sank into Southern Sky Protector's 8-palace nation. In an instant, the power of the entire nation within the 8-palace nation, all the blood energy, flowed into the treasure vase. A whoa. Just at this moment, a beast roar sounded. With this one beast roar, not only did the expressions of countless cultivators present change drastically, their legs turning to jelly in fear, but even the many terrestrial corpses huddled together in the distance were instantly startled to their feet. At this time, a colossal beast leaped out from the treasure vase. When this colossal beast leaped out from the treasure vase, everyone's expressions changed. This colossal beast's physique was larger than a mountain peak. Even more terrifying was the aura emanating from this colossal beast, ancient and vast, inspiring extreme reverence. It was as if a divine beast had descended to the mortal world, causing small, weak living beings to instinctively feel fear. Pishio divine beast. Seeing this colossal beast leap out, everyone's expressions changed. A king who understood the Southern Sky Upper Kingdoms History had a pale face and muttered. The Pishio treasure vase, the Saint Emperor treasure that the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom has inherited all along. Just a Saint Emperor treasure. This is the national advisor of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. A junior who heard this was somewhat disbelieving. The national advisor of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom should at least be using a great immortal true weapon. Why would he use a Saint Emperor treasure? This treasure vase has a shocking origin, but unfortunately, its previous owner died young. The king muttered. The Southern Sky Upper Kingdom also snatched it from someone else's hands. This treasure vase was refined from the Dao bone of a heavenly beast Pishio. The Pishio treasure vase was not originally the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom's treasure. It was once the treasure of a genius. This treasure was refined from the Dao bone of a heavenly beast Pishio. The heavens were the only thing it couldn't compare to. Although the heavenly beast Pishio was not the actual Pishio and couldn't compare to the legendary divine beast, it possessed the bloodline of the Pishio divine beast, making it incredibly powerful and heaven-defying. This genius had once reached the Saint Emperor realm, but unfortunately, they ultimately died tragically at the hands of the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. And this treasure fell into the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom's possession. Using the Palace Nation to nourish the beast, calling it the nation-protecting divine beast. Great Dao Saint. This level of achievement already surpasses my generation. An elder generation ancient saint, looking at the Pishio leaping out from the treasure vase, couldn't help but mutter. The nation-protecting divine beast Southern Sky Protector spoke of referred to his 8-palace nation domain. He actually used his 8-palace nation to nurture the Saint Emperor treasure. And further nurtured the Pishio Dao bone into the nation-protecting divine beast of his destiny palace. This truly surpassed imagination. There is no strongest treasure, only the most suitable treasure for oneself. A sect master also couldn't help but mutter. Although it is said that the higher the rank of the treasure, the more powerful it is, this is only in principle. For example, if you are a marquis and obtain a great immortal treasure, you can at most unleash 3 or 4/10 of its power, and possibly only 1 or 2/10. Moreover, it requires a large amount of blood energy to urge such a great immortal treasure. Just like Southern Sky Protector's Pishio treasure vase, it was extremely well suited to him, especially his 8-palace nation. He could unleash a terrifying power that surpassed imagination, even much stronger than an ordinary cultivator wielding a great immortal true weapon. Little brat, accept death. Southern Sky Protector roared, using his blood energy to control the treasure vase. The treasure vase instantly shone brightly. The Pishio roared. Its colossal claw struck directly towards Qiye. Break! The Pishio's strike caused Qiye's face to darken, not to mention everyone else's. He roared loudly. The azure sky, in this instant, caused all the power within 1,000,000 miles of Earth to surge ceaselessly into Qiye's body. At this moment, Qiye seemed to become a giant. The Dharma aspect emerged. The azure sky replaced the firmament. The massive stars could sink the ancient celestial necropolis. Qiye was like a bottomless pit, absorbing heaven and earth essence. All the heaven and earth essence was sucked dry like a flood. All the power of the great Tao was also attached to his body. Even more terrifying, Qiye's yin-yang blood sea was endless, like the boundless blood energy of a deity pouring into Qiye's body, causing Qiye's combat power to surge wildly and making his essence inexhaustible. At this moment, Qiye transformed into the heaven's residence. At this moment, a piece of the heaven's residence met the attack. Boom! With a loud sound. Qiye's Dharma aspect actually blocked the Pishio's claw. Although Qiye's body retreated with repeated thumps, he still withstood the Pishio's strike. That's impossible. This little brat clearly hasn't reached the Marquis realm. How could he possibly withstand such a strike? Many people couldn't believe their eyes. This was impossible, this was simply a miracle. Heavenly Mandate Secret Art. Seeing this scene, countless people were driven mad. The Heavenly Mandate Secret Art, it was truly an item that countless lineages coveted. The unparalleled treasure yin-yang blood sea. Plus the Heavenly Mandate Secret Art. This kind of power was imaginable. Beast conquers the world. At this moment, Southern Sky Protector finally executed his killing move. He finally unleashed an Emperor technique. In an instant, Emperor aura surged to the sky, and Emperor runes descended. Southern Sky Protector transformed into a ferocious beast of the ages, as if a divine beast had descended. In this instant, the Pishio grew even larger. The colossal Pishio's entire body emitted Emperor breath. Beast conquers the world. Someone exclaimed in terror, saying with emotion. An Emperor technique left behind by immortal Emperor Fei Yang. Didn't they say immortal Emperor Fei Yang didn't leave an Emperor technique for the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom? How does the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom possess immortal Emperor Fei Yang's Emperor technique? An old undying person, seeing Southern Sky Protector execute his killing move, couldn't help but mutter. The Southern Sky Upper Kingdom once had an unspoken secret. Immortal Emperor Fei Yang was one of the strongest and most outstanding immortal emperors throughout the ages. Although he originated from the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom, he had once opposed the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. He left the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom when he was very young and never returned. Later generations did not know the secret behind it. Immortal Emperor Fei Yang did not even pass down his Dao lineage back to the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom. It was precisely because of this that an ancient powerful kingdom like the Southern Sky Upper Kingdom could not be called an ancient kingdom but was called an upper kingdom. Boom. With a loud sound, under the Pishio's claw, Qiye was instantly sent flying, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood. With the Emperor technique possessing his body, the Pishio was like an Emperor beast, incredibly powerful. Thank you for listening to the story on KTN Storyverse. Please like and subscribe to support the channel.